I've been on a long grind. Yes. We are back. It's been a while. Footy Says is back in the building, though. I am your host, Kojo, from the Free for Podcast and Family and Footy Says. I say Family Sank. And Footy Says, it's been a while since I hosted, so allow me for the talking. But here I am with my Footy Says family. Above me to the left of your screen will be Daniel. Daniel, my bro, how you doing?
Yeah, bro, I'm doing good. I'm happy there's a Champions League review because I can finally talk about a Liverpool W.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's true. Funny enough, though, I'm not really feeling this layout because, I mean, whilst my team is in the top four, you two are not particularly there, so I should be up there. But I allow it's okay. Basil, how you doing, bro? How's 11th?
Well, you know, last time I had a good victory on the weekend. You know, it's been a while since I've supported a couple of Champions League, so Champions League here we come.
I hear that. Well, okay, you know what? We're going to start first with Daniel, since indeed his team did record a victory in the Champions League this week. We'll go to Liverpool first. So, Daniel, comprehensive victory. I think you guys took advantage of mistakes, which you have to do in games. You were alert. Mohamed Salah on the score sheet as per usual. Mane getting a desperately needed goal, Martin. Tell us how you felt about the game.
The game, it went as I expected, to be perfectly honest. Every time I watch Leipzig, even though a lot of people like Nagelsmann, I do as well, he's a bit naive. He doesn't adapt. He likes to play the same way, no matter the opposition. And he played the exact way you don't want to play against Liverpool. Yes, Liverpool don't have defenders, they don't have centre-backs, but you have to be solid defensively. You can't take risk passing out from the back, and your line has to be respectable. And Leipzig did none of those things. And once I saw that, apart from the first 5 minutes, and I saw how easily we were getting behind, I'm like, yeah, we're going to win this game. And I was happy to get a clean sheet as well, because a Hendo-Kabak centre-back partnership, we saw what they did against Leicester, so happy to get a clean sheet.
How important is that as a morale booster? Obviously, we know what happened on the weekend, but how important was it for you guys to get a win under your belt? Because it's been a while since you got like a good confidence boost.
I don't think it's a morale booster for our form because, like I said, I don't want to touch on the league, but we've been in downfall. But I feel like it's a moral booster for our season, because if Liverpool get knocked out of the Champions League, it will be as if like there's nothing else to play for. And we've already seen these players, when they face a little bit of adversity, it just goes downhill this season. So we needed to win. The tie is not over. It's far from over. I think we should go through, but what I've seen from Liverpool this season, or in recent months, you never know.
Basil, on Leipzig, there seems to be like an obsession, a love for them, similar to what people have for Dortmund when it was the Hummels and Subotic days, Royce coming up. What is it what do you think that attracts people to Leipzig, and do you buy into that? Do you see that and think I like them about them, or are you on the other side?
No, definitely not. I understand why people have a love for Leipzig, just because of how meteoric the guys are. I think back from as soon as they got promoted to the Bundesliga, they've been a very competitive team and settled in quicker than possibly any other team has in sort of football across any leagues. You could say similar to the way Wolves sort of settled in when they entered the Premier League. And obviously what they've done is they've taken a step further and established themselves as like a top three team, top 4 team in the Bundesliga over the last few years. Obviously in Germany, it's very much hated, because obviously people hate the fact how they've done it. They haven't done it in the conventional way that a lot of German teams have done it. They've had huge sponsors who have plowed in a lot of money into the club and done things unconventionally. But outside of Europe, there is that appreciation of how competitive they've become very quickly. But there is, like I said, as Dan said, that naivety when it comes to Leipzig. And I don't even think it's a Leipzig problem. I think it's more of a German team. I think it's more of a perspective across all German teams where the defense is neglected. It's about attacking play, attacking phases, good technical play, how quickly players can pass and move the ball, without very much a consideration for how you structure yourself defensively. And that is never, ever going to work in Europe, because teams just have too much quality going forward where they can exploit the mistakes that occur from that type of football, which is what we saw Liverpool. I think, like I said, the German managers are very good tactically. They seem to have a good understanding of the game. They are quite flexible in terms of taking on new ideas and also trying to implement in football. So they're very much proactive than maybe a lot of coaches in other nations. So I think that's the reason why people do have an appreciation for these German coaches managing these German teams because they very much focus on coaching. A lot of teams, the way football's changing now, where you're no longer having sort of managers have full control of the club. The perfect type of managers that other teams want, where they can come in, focus on the coaching, we bring in the players, you just manage them, make them better and try and move them.
Okay, I like that. I like that analysis. That's quite a good analysis. I like that. Let's move on from Liverpool because we don't have time for teams that are not doing things properly.
Whoa! Don't say that underneath your voice, fam. Say that with your chest.
Oh, that I said that we don't have time for teams that don't do things properly these days.
Like this one.
Interesting question. Very, very interesting question. And the answer is no. So we are not going to talk about them today because we don't have time for you have to go to the other half of the table to find them. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's go to Chelsea, a team that is, I don't want to call it resurgence. They found a little bit of form so far. They found a good win away to Atletico Madrid, team that is top of La Liga at the moment. We'll come to you, Daniel. Giroud's goal. What do you think of Giroud in Chelsea's system? Do you think he should be the main starter? I mean, Werner, Abraham, and Giroud, the way Werner's been used, the way Abraham's been used, Giroud is a bit of a bit part player. But knowing his quality, what do you think of him? What is your opinion of this man?
Olivier Giroud. The thing is with him, I don't know how I'm going to put this. I think he's a good player. He's a very good player. He's technically gifted for a big man. I know people don't hate that saying, but he is. However, I do think people go a bit overboard with Olivier Giroud. Every time he does well for Chelsea, you always see stuff like, oh, why did Arsenal get rid of him? I'm sorry, nobody was saying this when he got sold. When Arsenal got rid of him, nobody batted an eyelid. So let's not be doing hindsight. For me, it annoys me because people also do this with Romelu Lukaku now at Inter Milan. He's doing amazing there. People are saying, why did United sell him? When he was at United, nobody was giving him his flowers. So let's not do this. But I do think Giroud I think he needs to start for Chelsea. I think out of all the number 9s, he's the best one there. But that Chelsea game, I can't talk about that game without talking about that criminal in Madrid, Diego Simeone, Jose Mourinho's cousin. That guy is a complete and utter criminal. Oh my days. You have João Felix, Thomas Lemar, who are worth nearly 200 million. Obviously, they're not 200 million players, but they're talented attacking players. I'm not saying they're God's gift, but they can do well in the final third. Man has them playing left back and right back. I'm thinking, bro, what are you doing? It's so annoying. And, I really want him to get knocked out. Obviously, because of what he did to Liverpool last season, the way he celebrated like a clown, and then now the parking the bus. He needs. I'm happy they lost. When Giroud scored that, I was delighted. They can piss off.
Oh, wow. Basil. Tell me what Simeone as well, because this is interesting. Because I've had some thoughts about him. I'll probably drop it after you guys, but tell me what you think about Diego Simeone, because he's doing well in La Liga, but I feel like this was a criminal performance.
Yeah, do you know what the funny thing? I'm a fan of Diego Simeone. Because, like I said, people may not like his football, right? And obviously there are a few misconceptions about Atletico Madrid. A lot of people have that. People think Atletico Madrid. See, the difference between maybe an Atletico Madrid and maybe the way Mourinho or other defensive managers set up is that Atletico Madrid do set defensively, but they can keep the ball well. They're very much a possession-based team when they want to be. I'm not saying all the time, but they want to, because what you find is that they have very good technical players. And so one of the differences you find is that they're comfortable with the ball. They can keep the ball if they want to. They can get out tight spaces if they want to. So it's not just they're defensive without knowing what they can do with the ball. They very much know what they want to do with the ball when they have it. And I like him because he reminds me a bit of Fergie in terms of he motivates the players. No, I'm talking about in terms of the motivational players, in terms of No, in terms of motivating them, instilling like that team ethics and team spirit in them. That's the resemblance I have that he has in terms of Fergie. And I like that in Magic, because I don't think we have that enough in Manchester where Magic can have a system, get players on board, and just have that team camaraderie, that team spirit around them. Even in La Liga in the last 2-3 weeks, they're sliding. I think that Madrid are like now 6 points behind them, because obviously I think they haven't claimed 3 points in the last 2 games. And that performance against Chelsea haven't been performing as well, and I'm surprised that he went ultra defensive against Chelsea. I thought Chelsea were there to be got at. And credit to Tuchel. I mean, I don't rate Tuchel that highly because I think he's a man that neglects the defense. But credit to him, he's come to Chelsea and he's got them very organised, much more organised than I expected him to get there. And I don't know. Simeone divides opinion. I think I'm surprised that after being at Atletico Madrid for so many years, he's still playing this style of football and expecting to go far in a knockout competition with him. I would have expected him to be a bit more flexible and fluid with his tactics and how he does things. And so, watching that match against Chelsea, I was extremely disappointed at how he set up for that game. And they've got a lot to do in that second leg. That's what I'm going to say.
I still think they can beat Chelsea in the second leg. But the thing that annoys me is that when did he come? Like 2011, 2012. Atletico Madrid were not the team they were now. Like I think they had gone like the whole 21st century without being Real Madrid. Then he comes along. Then they win the league. Then they move to the big stadium. So you can just see Atletico Madrid getting bigger and bigger. And I feel like the style of football and the style of play should evolve with that because you've gotten the players into your club. If you still had like the Gabbies, the Kokes, the Thiagos starting for him, I'll be like, fair enough. But he has Sal, Carrera, Suarez, Lemar, João Felix. That's 5 good attacking players. Great. And the parking bus playing like Tony Pulis. Now he can get out of the Champions League, man. I'm on to him.
No, I hear that. Let's go on to Tuchel then real quick because Tuchel has come into Chelsea. He hasn't lost a game yet. They are in decent form. I call it decent form because I need a good run of good games, maybe 10 games before I call it good form. But what is your opinion on him so far? And what do you think? What is your expectation of him for the rest of the season, especially in Europe anyway for the Champions League? Where do you think they can go? How far can they go? Basil.
That's a very good question. I think my expectation with them in the league is definitely top 4. I think they're in a good position now where if they don't finish top 4 is a disappointment. In the Champions League, I think the best Chelsea can get is probably quarterfinals. But I think that's dependent on what team they potentially get. Because I think it depends. I think if they get another English team in the quarterfinals, I think they have a good chance to get to the semi-final. And that includes if they get City. And the reason why I say that is because they know them just by the fact that they played each other so many times because they know each other domestically. They have a good idea of what to expect. And I think that makes things different. English teams get very nervous when they play each other in the Champions League because they know what's at stake and they know that I could have beaten you 3 times running the league. When it comes to this type of competition, it's a different kettle of fish. I think if they get maybe one of the other European teams, it could be curtains for Chelsea. I think the only European team that they can possibly beat at this stage is potentially Real Madrid, just because it's not a great Real Madrid team. And even today, Real Madrid struggled a bit against Atlanta, who had 10 men. But I think if there's any other European team, they potentially go out. I think they have a better chance against the English teams just because they have enough material to do proper homework on them and try and nullify some of their strengths. But I think they'll probably go in the. I think they'll beat Atletico Madrid in the second leg or just scrape through. I think they'll probably go in the quarterfinal. If they get through the quarterfinal, maximum semi-final. They're not getting past the semi-final. We're not having another season like when they won Champions League.
God forbid, man. God forbid. That season I hated that season.
That season when like Napoli couldn't do the job against them, even though they had like a good advantage against them. And then Barcelona went and fumbled. And then Bayern Munich, like, I can't accept another season like that.
That was a joke. That was a joke, man.
Twice.
Daniel, I can't lie though. I accept it though because we're being 2-0 to them against certain North London clubs. 2 of them actually. 2 of them. Both of them really. So I'm kind of here
To
for
be
that.
honest, when we're talking about North London clubs, we only need to talk about Arsenal. No energy for Spurs, man.
Why not? Why not? Why not?
Look, did you see Darren's tweet today?
What did he say? Oh, about the 13 years. Like, that his head is
13
hot.
years. Yeah. Like, what happened in between that? From the last time he saw his team won a trophy. This is a team we're meant to take serious. Nah, let's keep it moving.
I hear that.
Wow.
But you know, I like the way we're talking about Tuchel because it shows when there's a manager with actual experience and doesn't need his uncle to get him jobs. You can go very far and actually do real things in the team, you know. So shout out Tuchel for that. Even though I still don't like him because of certain things I feel like PSG. Shout out Demba Ba. Let's go on to Manchester City Football Club. Now I was supposed to say my most hated rivals, that'd be a lie. But my rivals, who are top of the Premier League and they are doing the business in the Champions League. Comfortable win today again. What did we make of Man City's performance today, Daniel?
Man City, like, they're just doing what they've been doing ever since they lost to Spurs, dominating teams and not conceding. Like, it's starting to get scary now because normally every time we get to the round of 16, I'm always thinking, yeah, this team can't win the Champions League. They're gonna bottle it. But when I look at them, the way they're playing, I don't see them bottling it. I'm not gonna lie, and I honestly can't see a team that's gonna beat them. Honestly speaking, they're my favorites, and for me, they're my clear favorites. Because me personally, everybody keeps shouting Bayern. But apart from the Lazio game that they played the other day, Bayern are a very shaky team. Every time they play against someone, just watch Bayern for the first 20 minutes. The opposition can always be 2 or 3-0 up. And I'm sorry, if you're playing against Man City and Kevin De Bruyne, João Cancelo are creating chances, if you give City that space, it's going to be 3-0 in those 20 minutes. So for me personally, I can't see anyone stopping City. Liverpool, we're not serious. Who else is there? PSG, Butlers.
I disagree with you completely. And here's the thing. I've never understood the notion of why people always put City as a favourite. For me, in all those seasons, City have never been favourites. For me, my favourite should always be people who have the know-how and have gone far and have won it. City have always bottled it in previous seasons. And the reason why I've never put City as favourite, because I said it, the Champions League is a different kettle of fish. Because in the Premier League, teams show City too much respect. Whereas tactically, they're set up ways that you can have all the possession. We're just going to hit you when you have the opportunity. In the Champions, it's very different. Teams are not respecters of English teams. Teams will say, if we're going to die, we're going to die on our sword. Whereas a lot of teams are very good attacking in the Champions League. And so what City are not used to is teams actually coming at them. City are used to being patient, waiting for the openings because teams sit back. So even if they come up against a team like an Atlanta, they will cause them trouble, especially in the latter stages. Because that's the reason why Pep is always worried and tweets things, because he's worried about, these teams are in a semi-final, quarter-final, and they're going to play with the handbrake on, and that scares Pep a bit because he's never had to deal with teams coming at him, which is why he tweets things in the latter stages to make sure that we're a bit more organised and not go for it as much as we do, because teams will always find a way to exploit City's weaknesses, which aren't really exploited in the league, because really and truly, the majority of teams in England are very poor in terms of attacking. So that's the reason why City have to work. But in the Champions League, teams may be poor defensively, but they're very good technically. And they know ways of keeping the ball. They know ways of passing and moving that ball quickly. They know ways of exploiting weaknesses and creating chances in the final third, which is what Lyon did last season. Lyon didn't sit. Yes, they sat back, but in the final third, just look how incisive they were in their passing and movement of the ball. And City don't have to deal with that in England. And that's why I say I don't put City as favourites, because I feel like City may crumble when it gets to the latter stages because they're having to deal with a different type of team who operate differently to what they're using domestically. Because what you find is the pundits in England base what they see of City in England, but they don't do their research and homework on what other teams in Europe are doing. So they sit there and they're surprised when City lose against a Lyon or when City are knocked out by a certain team. And I said, there's like, why are you surprised? These teams have the quality or better quality in the final third than a lot of teams in England. And when they can punish you, they will punish you. So I think City have a good chance winning Champions League. I just don't put them as favourites.
Do you know what? Do you know why I put them as favourites? Well, maybe when Liverpool knocked them out. I think City are at the best defensively. I feel the reason why Pep goes very safe because he doesn't trust his defence. His defence has always been poor. He's always had poor centre backs, but now he has Ruben Diaz, a defender who finally loves to defend. He's not a defender who thinks, "Oh, I can pass the ball out from the back." No, he actually wants to defend. And additionally to that, when Pep goes safe, he normally plays Rodri and Gundogan. And normally when you play those two players, you're not getting any attacking threat from them. But we'll see what Zinedine Gundogan is doing in the Premier League. So you never know. He might do that in the Champions League.
But you know what, Daniel? I would even say this. Even if Liverpool got City in the quarterfinal, most Liverpool fans will think that they're not. I will still put Liverpool as favourites of being City. And the reason why, no, let me tell you why. Because as bad Liverpool are defensively, Liverpool still have the attacking threat to damage City. And for me, it's like, Liverpool are very good in these knockout competitions when it matters. And I said, just because of their experience, I would always put them ahead of City if they made the quarterfinal. Because
football heritage is important.
Yeah, that experience counts a lot. In the league, it's different because it's a one-off game. It's like you can afford to lose 1 or 2 games and not matter that much because, you know, there's so many games left where you can always pick up points and gain momentum. Whereas in the Champions League, one opportunity only. And when players turn up for the competition, is a different kind of player that you get in the league. And that's why I said, if those two came up against each other quarter-final, I would still put Liverpool as favourites just because one of their experience and their know-how. And two, when those guys get going, they can get going. Like Salah, Mane, and Co. They can get going when they want to. And I'm like, City for me will be a bit fearful of that. And it could be a tight game. But like I said, I still don't put City as favourites. I don't think they're going to win the Champions League personally. I think it's going to be a year of disappointment. And I think if they don't win it this year, I think that's going to rock a lot of players in that team. Because they're going to like, what more can we do? Because right now, City are playing one of their best forms that we've seen in recent years. I now think to myself, how much more better do I have to play before I can lift that trophy? And I think it's in their minds.
I'll ask you this then: is this their best opportunity to win the Champions League? Because they are on top form in the Premier League. They have addressed, I'd say, kind of, because they haven't really been posed a strong threat since the counter-attacking problem. Is this their best chance to win the Champions League?
I'll say yes, personally. I don't see a chance bigger than this. This. But I think right now everyone is focused. Everyone's at the top of their game mentally. And like I said, I think if they don't win it, and like I said, this is one of the best footballs or one of their best forms that they've had in a very long time.
Yeah,
and they'll probably think like how much more can we possibly get to win this competition? They'll think if we can't win it, then we're at our best. How are we going to win it? And then also there's a fair factor of like in years to come, other European teams could strengthen. Like Real Madrid, I'm not the Real Madrid we've had in the past. So you know what happens when they start to do things properly in the transfer market and get things going. Barcelona, we know that they've got a long way to go. But how long before those teams start thinking, even PSG, if they keep Mbappe and Neymar, and then start to plug in certain areas, all these teams can get better. And you're saying like, well, we didn't do our best. Everyone else is getting more competitive. Can we truly do it? Like, because when you think about the caliber of teams now, is not that strong in this competition. It's probably like one of the weakest we've probably seen in like a very long time. And so at that, City are the best form out of all of them. So this is their best chance.
Okay, Daniel, I want to discuss one more game because PSG absolutely destroyed Barcelona. Now, we know what Barcelona are like now, so we're not going to really look too much into Barca. But PSG got to the final last year. They lost to a very, very, very brilliant Bayern team. Bayern obviously won their game 4-1 as well, but they dealt with Lazio quite easily. That wasn't really a game to watch. Is this PSG's best chance as well? Because I'm looking at these two teams and I'm like, just like Basil said, the Champions League's not like the strongest right now. You look at the teams in there and anyone can really beat anyone. But I will look at these two as maybe having difference makers, Kevin De Bruyne and Kylian Mbappe. What do you rate PSG's chances at?
I think for me, this is PSG's. If PSG don't win it this year, and if City don't win it this year, I think PSG will be more angry than City. The reason I say that is because City have given Pep a 2-year contract, and unless Pep gets sick and tired of City, he's staying for another 2 years. So he has another 2 chances to win it. With Mauricio Pochettino, if he doesn't win it this year, if he's not doing well by December, he can be gone. And the whole process starts again. And if you sack Mauricio Pochettino, who I still think is one of the better managers in the world out there, you can't really get much better managers than Pochettino that's going to win you the Champions League. Additionally, players like Kylian Mbappe, if PSG don't win it this year, you know for a fact he's going to be thinking, do I really want to be staying here or should I go to clubs in the Premier League, clubs in Spain? At City, most of the main players, you can see them staying until Pep leaves. So with PSG, I feel they have to win it. But even though the Champions League is at its weakest, I always feel no matter how weak the Champions League is, it's always a hard competition to win. Because no matter what happens, players who might not be at it, once they play in the Champions League, they always play at the highest level more often than not. So it's still going to be hard for PSG.
I've got a question for you, Daddy.
Yeah.
Because obviously, because you know what, they always talk about Kylian Mbappe leaving, and there's usually just 2 clubs mentioned, which is Liverpool and Real Madrid from obviously social media. But then it hit me. City need a striker, right? Because Gabriel Jesus is not it. Aguero needs finish. Could you see City potentially going and breaking the bank for Mbappe? Because
Look, if I was,
I thought to myself, could City actually do it? And then what would that spell for everybody else?
Look, if Mbappe goes City, Premier League is going to become like the Bundesliga, Serie A. City are just going to be winning the league. It's going to be done. It's literally Kevin De Bruyne to Kylian Mbappe. You already know you're seeing this. You already know.
Yeah.
But if I was City, because they need a striker, I'd only go for one of them. And I honestly feel if you're a top elite club at the moment, so like your Man City's, a top elite club or a club with a lot of money, so City, Madrid, Barca, Liverpool, United, and you need a forward, Mbappe and Haaland are the 2 main guys you should be going for. Because clubs are lucky that they're very good at a young age, but they're not playing at an established team. Like players like Cristiano Ronaldo and Rooney, when they were Mbappe and Haaland's age, they were playing at Manchester United. So it was highly unlikely that they were going to leave. Lionel Messi, he was playing at Barcelona. Highly unlikely he was going to leave. But Mbappe at PSG, Haaland at Dortmund, you know they're not going to spend the rest of their careers there. So I feel like whoever gets them has hit the jackpot. Apart from Chelsea, because Chelsea seem to have stinkers when they buy players, no matter how good they are.
Lord knows that I definitely need a striker because certain people from the Eiffel Tower country are not doing it. So I will leave that there. Okay. Final question for you guys. Just a Europa League question. Quickly. Who has the better chance of winning the Europa League? Arsenal, Man United, or the other North London club?
United.
Yeah, United, definitely.
United,
Arsenal are probably going out tonight. That much is true. So.
Basel, man. It's definitely United.
Yeah, it's definitely United. United just have the game winners in their team. Like usually, like a club may have like if you look at like Tottenham, the game winners is I'll say mainly Harry Kane because the reason why Son doesn't turn up as much in games, it's Harry Kane that turns up. Like, and for instance, like Son could be injured, Harry Kane will still turn up. Harry Kane will be injured, Son doesn't turn up. So Tottenham have Son, who's a game winner. Arsenal really and truly, I guess it's really just maybe Saka in this game. United have too many. Like they have Rashford who can turn up, Pogba on his day can turn up and win the game. Bruno Fernandes can turn up. Edison Cavani is there. I don't want to mention him, but I'm going to mention him.
Because you know it's a lie. So don't say it.
I've been seeing so much agendas for this guy on the TL.
We won't mention him. But I think United just have like too many game changers in their team that can turn up at any time. And I think that's the reason why I'll say they have a bigger chance than the other two.
Well, for me, it's a trick question because they're all going to get knocked out at some point anyway. So it's really. All right. So just to finish off, Daniel, where can they find you on the socials?
Yeah, find me at Papilo017. Look, I haven't been active recently. I don't need to say why. But yeah, you can find me there. I know my bio is here to tweet about football, but Formula One is starting soon, so you can catch me tweeting about that.
I think it's safe to say you will never walk alone. Basil, where can they find you on the socials?
You can also find me at BJKis14. Yeah, similar to Daniel, haven't really tweeted much about a certain club. You know, tennis has just finished. You caught me a lot of commentary there. Similar to Daniel, Formula One is starting, so catch you doing commentary there. My team has embarrassed me enough this year, so we're calling it quits until the season starts.
I just want to commend, firstly, Basil for sticking by his one of his 4 clubs. And Daniel for showing face even through tumultuous times, whilst another Footsays member himself refuses to show himself. So at this point, what I'm going to do is get a milk cut and get his face on it, and then from now on, I'm going to have it right here next to me every time we do a show until he's found not missing. I am Kojo from the Freedom of the Podcast and Footsays. I have been your host. Have a good evening and thanks for watching. Peace.